Welcome. My name is Steve George, and I'm glad you're watching today. The primary purpose of this video is to provide content about Gold Client scenarios and how to use the DataSnap function to create them. The agenda will focus on these areas: what a Gold Client scenario is, reasons and benefits for creating them, and lastly, how they are created and updated. At the end of the video, I will provide some useful content and the location for additional resources. Let's get started. Scenarios are Gold Client objects that control which data is targeted for export. They contain the selected data type and the user's selection criteria accordingly. In SAP terms, a scenario can be thought of as a screen variant. There are three functions that can create scenarios in Gold Client. It can be done using the DataSnap, Intelligent Slice, or Scenario Segment functions. However, this video will focus only on using DataSnap. There is a separate video that covers Intelligent Slice, and Scenario Segment is the oldest solution in the space and is only used on rare occasions. There are two main reasons for creating scenarios. The first is because the user has a need to copy the respective dataset multiple times using the same criteria. The second is because users may not have the authorization to perform the data copy themselves. As such, they can create the scenario, add it to an Export ID, and then have a colleague perform the data copy on their behalf. Using scenarios can lead to a few potential benefits. First, they save the user time by not having to input the same data type and selection criteria every time the same dataset needs to be copied. Second, multiple scenarios can be included within the same copy process. Third, they inherently add consistency to the copy process since the selection conditions are already defined. Let's walk through the process of creating a scenario and then assigning it to an Export ID. To reach the Gold Client solution, use T-code ZGold, Z-G-O-L-D. From the Gold Client screen, select the DataSnap function. I'm going to input data type SD sales documents, and then select the Execute button. On the next screen, input an export description. This is a mandatory entry. Next, input the selection criteria. I'm going to input a small range of sales docs. Select the Save as Scenario button to create the scenario. Select the Online button to trigger the Save in Dialog mode. It is okay to do so because this process usually completes quickly. The next message informs the user how many records qualify based on the user's selection criteria. The final message appears at the bottom of the screen informing the user which scenario number was generated. I will exit DataSnap and return to the main screen, and then select the Export Control function. The scenario can be added to either a new or existing Export ID, and is up to the user which approach to take. I will take a moment to create a new Export ID. Next, click on the Export ID number to reach the Details screen. Select the Add Container button and then input the data type and scenario number. My suggestion is to use the search functions for both fields, but you can type these inputs if desired. Save your work and freely add more scenarios if needed. At this point, the scenario can be exported from this screen by whomever has the relevant authorization. If you must hand over the task of exporting this data to a colleague, be sure to provide them the Export ID number and the relevant container number or numbers accordingly. For more information about initiating exports, consider watching the How to Use Export Control to Export Data video. Let me now provide a bit of additional content about scenarios. It is not possible to use, recall, or edit scenarios within the DataSnap function. It is only possible to create them here. For a scenario to have any value, it must be added to a new or existing Export ID via the Export Control function. And finally, it is possible to update a scenario selection criteria. This is done within Export Control by clicking the relevant scenario number. The next screen displays the selection criteria, which can be updated accordingly. Additionally, it is possible to append fields to the selection criteria by clicking the New Field Selection button. Double-click on the relevant field to add it, then input the respective values and save these changes. The two screen captures on this slide show the before and after results of having added the sales document type field. For additional and detailed information about performing these Gold Client activities, please reference the Gold Client Data Echo User Guide, which is located on the Qlik Help website. I hope you have found this content to be helpful, and I encourage you to practice these activities right away so that you are able to benefit from this knowledge. Good luck, and thanks for watching.